Hello guys, how are you all? Welcome to my channel. So, today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was born with immortality, part 2, subscribe if you enjoy the video, let's start the story. Hinata was lying in her bed, trying to go to sleep. She tried many ways to fall asleep, but she just couldn't. Her mind would wander to Naruto, the kid she just met. She wondered why he kept popping into her thoughts, but thought it was nothing. She also wondered how he knew her cousin. He had just randomly asked her if she knew another boy without pupils. She would have to find out if she ever had the confidence to speak to someone. She sighed as she thought of how disappointed her father would sometimes get when she didn't do as well as he had hoped. She was just thankful her mother was around, she always made Hinata feel better. Hinata sat up, she thought she heard something outside her window, but nothing was there. She got off her bed and then looked out her window, still nothing. She shrugged it off as nothing and went to her bed. She was suddenly tired and looked up at her ceiling. Her last thought before sleeping was the strange masked boy. "You idiot, she heard you." A man quietly yelled at his partner. "It's not my fault, it's too dark to see every little leaf, stick, and rock." The second man retorted. The first man sighed as he continued making his way to Hinata's room. The first man turned to the second man. "Place the silence over this room so we don't have problems with a girl." The second man nodded and started doing hand seals. After that, he touched a window to Hinata's room and a barrier appeared then disappeared. The second man nodded and the first man opened the window and went inside. He grabbed Hinata and stuffed her in a cloth bag. She woke up and immediately started panicking. She struggled in the man's grasp, but the man ignored it as he jumped out the window, then he knocked Hinata out. He didn't want her to make any noise while they escaped. "I got the girl, let's go before we're caught," the first man said and started running for the village gate with the second man behind him. They ran through the woods as they headed for the gates, they didn't want to walk into other people and get caught. As they ran they noticed how a lot of stores were still open. One particularly caught the eye of the second man. "Don't even think about it, you perverts. We deliver the girl first, after that I don't care what you do," the first man commanded. When they reached the gate, they saw two chunin asleep. They scoffed at their incompetence and rushed past them. The second man smiled widely knowing they were home free and had the Hyuga bloodline. The first man also couldn't hide his smirk, they had done something the previous cloud ninja couldn't pull off. As soon as they stepped into Kumagakure, they would be seen as heroes. They couldn't wait to get home. After running for a minute, the first man stopped near a river to rest. He put Hinata next to him as he sat at the edge of the river. "Would you stop?" the second man asked. The first man was trying to regain his breath before he answered. "I'm not as young as you, and besides I haven't been out on a mission in a while, and I'm still getting used to the physical labor I have to use for this. It's not every day I go out to kidnap someone." The second man rolled his eyes and sat down on a log while he waited for his partner to rest. The first guy splashed some water in his face and felt a little better but still wanted to rest. Naruto and Miyu walked into the clearing with the river and sat near the edge. Naruto took off his shoes and soaked his feet into the river. Miyu crouched down and started drinking some water. "This is life, isn't Miyu?" Miyu stopped drinking for a second to yip in agreement. "I don't know what it means, but this water feels great." Naruto laid back and looked up at the sky. He enjoyed watching the stars at night. It was like a sort of hobby he grew into after always collapsing from training and waking up to see stars in the sky. Then the moon caught his eye. He looked at the moon closely and it reminded him of something. It was something that he couldn't remember and it was annoying him. He didn't understand why he couldn't remember what it reminded him of. Naruto then hears splashing and sits up. He sees Miyu drowning while the current takes her downstream. Naruto instantly gets up and runs after her. Miyu is barely able to stay afloat and Naruto was running out of ideas so he goes with his instinct and jumps in after her. He quickly gets her and holds on. After he resurfaces, he holds Miyu up high so she wouldn't get wet. As he kept going downstream, he looked for something to grab onto. He saw a rock in the middle of the stream and swam to it. He held on as the river's current suddenly became stronger. Naruto knew to get out he had to use both hands, so he put Miyu on his head and got on top of the rock. He balanced himself and quickly jumped off the rock and onto land. He fell on the floor and started laughing quietly. "I made it," he said and checked on Miyu. She was alright, she just was asleep. Naruto made sure all the water left her body. Luckily for him, Amir thought him a way to resurrect someone besides CPR. He heard leaves rustling and grabbed Miyu as he went into the bushes to hide. He saw two men appear, both wearing black clothing. One of them had a bag with feet coming out, which immediately got his attention. The man with the bag over his shoulder looked around 40 to 45 and his partner looked like he was 20. Black clothing, a person in a bag, all in the middle of the night. Yup, it's a kidnapping. Naruto thought. Then he heard them start talking. "Would you stop?" The second man asked. I'm not as young as you, and besides I haven't been out on a mission in a while, and I'm still getting used to the physical labor I have to use for this. It's not every day I go out to kidnap someone. Naruto sweat dropped at the man's answer. Of course. Naruto thought before thinking of a plan to save whoever was in the bag. He tried to think of something, but nothing came to mind. Want some help, kid? Kyuubi said in Naruto's mind. How can you help? I can temporarily take over your body and get rid of these men. Kyuubi answered. No thanks, I'll do this my way. What way? You don't even have a plan yet. I'll think of something. Naruto went back to think of a plan. He then assessed the situation. Let's see, two mysterious men have a child in a bag. They are ninja and look to be above Chunin. I am a 6-year-old boy who was trained in the ways of the immortals and swordsmanship but left my swords at home. I have 3 kunai and 7 shuriken. I know a couple of ways to use foxfire and a sleeping fox. Now what does that mean? Naruto let his head hang down. That means I'm screwed. Suddenly he thought of a plan. He smirked mischievously at the thought of his plan. Hey Miyu, wake up. Naruto said quietly as he lightly shoved Miyu. She woke up and quickly stood up. She was about to bark, but Naruto quickly covered her mouth and placed a finger over his mouth. SHH, relax. Now, there's something I want you to do. Naruto whispered something into Miyu's ear. Miyu looked doubtful, but Naruto told her that, as soon as it looked bad, to run to Konoha and alert the guards. She nodded and Naruto smirked. Now to put operation. Save the damsel is a go. Naruto said. The first man sighed as he lay back on a log while the second man's foot was fidgeting. He was getting tired of waiting for his partner to rest and was starting to lose his patience. Are you good enough to go now? The second man asked the first. The first man just shook his head. Be patient, it's still the middle of the night and we covered our tracks. There's nothing to worry or panic about. He said calmly. The second man was about to say something else, but suddenly, a bush across from them started moving. Both men stood and gripped their kunai. Get out now, we know you're there. Before they could throw their kunai, a voluptuous woman appeared. She had black hair that reached the small of her back, red eyes that could mesmerize any man, and a red kimono. Her kimono was tattered and barely keeping her assets covered. She fluttered her eyelashes repeatedly at the men in front of her. Both men dropped their kunai and drooled over the goddess who stood in front of them. The woman blushed and took a step back. Both men took 2 steps forward and slowly walked a little closer. The goddess started walking backwards in a seductive way, moving deeper into the woods. Their desire of being with the goddess got the better of them and they charged right after her. Naruto jumped out of the bushes the goddess appeared from with Miyu on his head. Haha perverts. Naruto said before opening the bag to see who it was inside. He was surprised to see that it was Hinata in the bag, though he couldn't remember her name. She's that girl in my class. Damn, what was her name? It's on the tip of my tongue. Oh yeah, Hinata. He started to shake, hoping to wake the sleeping girl. Hinata woke up to see a blonde-haired masked boy over her. It took her a while to register who he was, where she was, and what was happening. She sat up quickly and blushed. Naruto, what are you doing in my room? She asked timidly. Naruto tilted his head and raised an eyebrow. Their room? Hinata, look around, we're outside. Her eyes widened as she looked around and saw that he was right. You were being kidnapped, but don't worry, Naruto Uzumaki of the Immortal Clan is here to save you. Naruto said proudly as he pointed his thumb to himself. Hinata looked at Naruto and saw him in a different light than she had earlier. She blushed and then noticed how close they were. It was right there, and then when she started something that won't be undone until she grew way older, she fainted in Naruto's presence. Naruto panicked when he saw Hinata's eyes closing. He noticed her face grow red and was about to ask her if she was sick, but then she fainted. Now Naruto was convinced that she was sick, why else would she faint? Naruto stood up, put Hinata on his back and started walking to Konoha. The 2 men ran and ran after the goddess, but every time they took a step closer, she seemed to be getting farther. The first man seemed wary of this and stopped. Wait up Haro, don't you think this is suspicious? The first man said. Haro stopped and went back to his partner. Not really, I mean, come on, look at her, she's hot and all alone out here in the wilderness. She probably doesn't even remember what it feels like to be with a man. Haro said mischievously. Now come on Jiro, she's getting away. Jiro threw a kunai at the woman and it passed right through her. Haro stopped in his tracks and watched as the goddess continued to tease them as if the kunai never passed by her. Release. Haro said and the goddess waved goodbye before disappearing. Damn it. We've been tricked. Jiro's eyes widened. That means they knew about the kidnapping. Damn it. He then ran back to where they last left Hinata. Haro followed right behind him. When they arrived, they saw that Hinata was gone. Damn it to hell. Jiro said. Come on, they couldn't have gone far. Haro said and ran back in the direction leading to Konoha. Jiro followed after, swearing silently at how gullible they were. They kept running until suddenly, a dark blue blur swiftly punched Hero in the chin. He flew back and landed a couple of feet away. Jiro dodged an orange blur that was headed his way, but he still got a cut traveling from his elbow to his shoulder. He looked up and saw a masked kid with a blue shirt and black pants with a small orange fox with a kunai in his mouth. Hero stood up and started rotating his jaw. "Ah, that was a hard right hook you got there, kid, but it's not enough to knock me out," Hero said with a smile on his face. Naruto took out 2 kunai and spun them in his fingertips. "Oh, and you think you're a ninja too, how cute," he said sarcastically. He took out a kunai and threw it at Naruto. Naruto spun around to deflect the kunai and then threw his kunai at both men. Hero and Jiro lazily blocked it but were amazed at Naruto's speed, strength and accuracy. Naruto looked down at Miyu and nodded his head. Miyu got the message and disappeared. "So where did you send the little thing?" Jiro asked. "Not where you're going," Naruto said coldly as he picked up a tree branch lying next to him and ran at the men. Hero laughed and Jiro just smiled arrogantly. Naruto smiled with him as he suddenly disappeared and reappeared behind Hero and hit him in the back of the head with the branch. Jiro wasn't expecting this and jumped back as Hero flew through the air and landed with a sickening thud. He lay there motionless, which got Jiro thinking he was dead. "How dare you kill my partner?" Jiro said angrily. Naruto just stared passively at Hero. This wasn't the first time he killed someone, but even though Amir spent a week assuring Naruto that it was necessary, as a warrior and ninja, he still didn't feel any better about it. He shouldn't have kidnapped Hinata. "I give my condolences to his family and friends, but in the world of a warrior and ninja like, this sort of thing happens a lot," Naruto said solemnly. Jiro was surprised by Naruto's wisdom but shrugged it off and charged him, kunai in hand. Naruto just looked up lazily and swung the branch. It knocked the kunai in Jiro's hand and then he punched Jiro in the gut. Jiro doubled over in pain and got to take a good look at Naruto. He noted that his blonde hair got wilder, he suddenly had fangs and claws, and he let out a sort of killer intent, but the thing that caught Jiro's attention the most was his eyes, his red eyes. Naruto's red eyes held so much hatred, pain, remorse, and understanding all at the same time. While Jiro was still feeling Naruto's punch to the gut, Naruto focused his chakra into his right hand. He rapidly opened his eyes, and green fire appeared in his hand. He then did the same thing with his left hand, except this time, he applied more of his chakra than usual, and then Kyuubi's. As soon as he saw the flame, he threw it into the air. A second later it exploded like a firework, lighting up some of the night sky, and its sound echoing through the woods. Jiro tilted his head to get a better look at Naruto. He quickly grabbed him from the collar and punched him in the face. Naruto looked back at Jiro like nothing happened. This got Jiro angry, so he repeatedly punched Naruto in the face. Naruto then stopped his fist with his left hand and lightly touched Jiro in the chest with his right hand, foxfire still lit. Jiro swiftly let Naruto go and tried to put out the fire on his shirt. He was failing miserably and Naruto just watched, his red eyes never leaving Jiro. When he grew bored of it, Naruto held his left hand out and red chakra appeared. By now, the fire on Jiro had reached his whole body and it was mysteriously being sucked up by the red chakra around Naruto's hand. Naruto retracted his hand and watched as he smuggled the fire until it was gone. Naruto looked back at Jiro. "What are you?" Jiro said fearfully. "You're about to lose your consciousness, so listen well because I will not repeat myself. I am Naruto Uzumaki of the immortal clan who resides in the village hidden in the leaves, remember that?" Naruto replied gravely. Jiro fell back and left the world of consciousness, just like Naruto had said. He walked over to where he hid Hinata and picked her up, but he soon grew tired and fell back. His back hit a tree and almost dropped Hinata, but found his grip and held on. He slid down the tree until he sat down. He felt Hinata trembling in his arms. She must be cold. He thought so. He brought her closer to his body. She snuggled his chest and then remained still. Naruto blushed a little at her sudden action. "Don't worry Hinata, I'll keep you safe." He was about to sleep when he saw Hero stand up. "But who'll keep you safe?" Hero said. "Are you alive?" Naruto asked weakly. Hero just smirked and walked closer to Naruto. Iruka Hyuga was running beside her husband, Hiashi Hyuga, as they ran to the front gates of the village. She was worried about Hinata, she hadn't been in her room when she went to check in on her. She had her mother's intuition telling her to wake up and check on her. And if there was something she knew about being a mother, it was that a mother's intuition was never wrong, that all mothers wanted their children to lead happy lives and to one day have grandchildren to spoil. She just hoped that the last one would come later in her life. They were searching all over the Hyuga compound when they saw a large green explosion. They didn't know if that would lead them to Hinata, but that was the only lead they had. By the time they had reached the village's gate, they saw a small orange fox messing around with the two Chunin guards. By the way it was moving around, Haruka figured that it wanted the guards to follow it. She walked up to the fox, picking it up to get a better view. Both Chunin guards bowed to the head of the Hyuga clan and his wife, but she just ignored them. "What have you all riled up, little one?" Haruka asked the fox. The fox jumped from Haruka's hands, bit down on the robe she wore, and pulled it in the direction of the woods. Haruka looked at her husband and nodded her head. Hiashi hesitantly nodded his head as well, and they both left the village. "Tell the Hokage that my daughter's been kidnapped again and we're heading to get her back," Hiashi ordered the Chunins. They both saluted and disappeared. Haruka kept up with the little fox, though she had to admit it was pretty fast. They ran for a short while before they saw a blonde-haired boy with a mask holding Hinata in his hands. The little fox stopped, causing both Haruka and Hiashi to stop as well. Hiashi was about to jump down and attack the boy when his wife stopped him. He looked at her questioningly, but her eyes just remained on the boy. Hiashi impatiently waited for something to happen when he noticed Naruto pull Hinata closer to his body. This angered Hiashi and he was about to get up, but Haruka stopped him again. He then noticed the small smile on his daughter's face and heard Naruto start speaking. "Don't worry Hinata, I'll keep you safe." Haruka smiled warmly and Hiashi wasn't as mad but still didn't like how close they were. "But who'll keep you safe?" They heard a mysterious voice say. "Are you alive?" They heard the blonde kid reply. This time, Haruka didn't stop Hiashi from getting up. He jumped down and was about to attack when the blonde kid suddenly yelled, "Don't kill him." This confused the mysterious man, but then realized what he meant when he felt someone hit him in the back of the neck. He looked back and his eyes widened in fear as he saw the head of the Hyuga clan. He fell unconscious from all the killer intent Hiashi was radiating. Haruka came down with the little fox and she walked over to Naruto who was barely conscious himself. The little fox went up to the blonde kid and started licking his face. "Are you okay little one?" Haruka asked in a gentle voice. Naruto dumbly nodded his head. Haruka gave the blonde kid another warm smile before Hiashi came over. "What's your name, boy?" he asked coldly, but it didn't seem to affect him. He just smiled as he gave his answer. "I'm honored that the prestigious and powerful Hyuga clan head wants to know my name. My name's Naruto Uzumaki of the Immortal clan." That was the last thing he said before he fell asleep. Anbu and a medical ninja suddenly appeared and they took in the scene in front of them. The medical ninja examined Hinata and Naruto. "The girl is alright, she was just knocked unconscious, but the boy, he's just exhausted from overusing his chakra. Take him to the hospital," the medical nin ordered. An Anbu with a wolf mask was about to pick Naruto up when a hand blocked him from reaching him. The Anbu looked up and saw that it was Hiashi who stopped him. "It's alright, we'll take him and make sure he gets the proper medical attention. Just check on the other guy over there." Hiashi pointed over to Haro. "Don't forget the other one," Naruto said weakly while pointing over to Jiro's body. Anbu nodded their heads and went to recover Haro and Jiro for their interrogation. Hiashi picked up Naruto while Haruka picked up Hinata and they both traveled home. Naruto awoke to the sounds of talking. Although they were quiet and muffled, he still heard them. He opened his eyes to see a white ceiling and the light off. He turned his head to the left and saw an empty room, nothing special, just a nightstand and a closet. He knew he wasn't in his room because he left his room a mess when he went to school. He sat up and felt something pulling on his skin, so he looked at his arm and saw some cables connected to it. He pulled them off and walked out of the room. He started walking aimlessly around the place until he found what looked like the living room. He walked in and he saw two adults talking in the next room. The man noticed Naruto in the living room and motioned him to join him. Naruto walked into the room and saw more people in the room. They were in the dining room eating dinner and Naruto remembered who he was looking at. "My pardon Hyuga-sama, I didn't mean to cause trouble," Naruto said as he bowed his head. Hiashi smirked at Naruto's manners, he honestly didn't think he had any. "Uzumaki-san has no trouble at all Uzumaki-san. You may stand." Naruto stood up and got a better view of the room. He saw Hiashi and Haruka sitting together near the edge of the table. On the other side was the boy Naruto ran into who shoved him down. It took Naruto all his willpower not to yell at the boy. On his left was a blushing Hinata who quietly ate her dinner. "Hello there Hinata-san and Niji-san," Naruto said at the last minute. Niji just raised an eyebrow at Naruto before completely ignoring him. "Please sit Uzumaki-san and join us," Haruka offered. "Thank you." Naruto sat down across from Hinata and to the left of Niji who he still wanted to yell at. A waitress appeared and a tray of food and placed it in front of Naruto. He saw a bowl with rice and some type of soup. He bowed his head and grabbed the chopsticks and started eating. He stopped eating to ask Hiashi something. "If you don't mind me asking, how long was I out for?" "For about 3 days," Hinata answered for her father. Hiashi just nodded his head when Naruto looked at him. Well, at least it wasn't as long as last time. He said to himself. Last time? Haruka asked. Naruto mentally slapped himself for being too loud. Yes, last time I collapsed. He answered vaguely. Why did you collapse? Hinata's curiosity got the better of her and she couldn't help but ask. When Naruto looked at Hinata, she looked down and ate some more food. He then looked at his food as he told his story. Well, I guess I might as well start from the beginning. It happened sometime around last year. I was walking around the village when someone threw something at me and hit me in the head. Why would someone throw something at you? Hinata asked again. When Naruto looked at her again, she didn't look away like she normally would. Naruto, Hiashi and Haruka already knew why, but neither said anything. Well, he was drunk, so maybe he was just angry and saw me first, but don't worry, I'm fine now. So, then he got two other drunks to throw rocks at me and I just rolled up in a ball and protected Miyu. By the way, where is she? Naruto asked. Miyu? Hiashi asked. Yeah, that small orange fox. Have you seen it around? Oh, the fox, we let it go outside. It seemed like it wanted to run outside. Haruka replied. Naruto nodded his head and continued his story. Then the man beat down the three drunks and asked me why I didn't fight back. I honestly didn't know either and he walked away. I asked him to train me so I can learn how to defend myself. He told me to meet him in a clearing 5 minutes away from the park. I got there and he told me to pick up a sword. I picked up two, which were a lot lighter than I expected, and so did he. He then attacked me and I defended myself. After the fight he told me to pack my things and took me to his homeland for training for a year. I came back 2 weeks ago, but they told me I collapsed from chakra exhaustion. Naruto finished, surprising everyone, even Neji. What did you learn? Hinata asked. The way of the immortals and the art of swordsmanship. The way of the immortals. As in the ones that live forever. No, Hinata-chan, as in the clan. I read about them once when I was reading some scrolls we have in the library. They would wear all black clothing with stylized silver kabuki mask and segmented plate cuirasses, and they wield silver shields and katanas. Also, the immortals' expectations for their members are said to be worse than the infantry units. The scroll also mentions that they were imperial guards at one point with supernatural above-average abilities in war, though the scroll isn't too specific about their abilities. That's about all I learned. Am I close to Naruto? Haruka asked. Yes, but I'm afraid I am the last of my clan. Naruto said sadly. What do you mean? Hiashi asked. You see, there was a war that occurred almost 2 years ago in my master's homeland. Apparently his perception of time was horrible because when I first asked him about it, he told me it happened not long ago when it was actually a year. In this war, 2 major countries were battling against each other. One of them sent the immortal clan to fight for them, but they were wiped out during the fight. My master only survived because he was unconscious and others thought he was dead. He walked over here in Konoha in hopes to rebuild his clan, and a year later, I showed up in his life and asked him if I could be in his clan. He agreed 7 months after I showed him I was good enough. Sadly, he died before we were able to come home. Naruto closed his eyes and gave a moment of silence for his late master. The others remained quiet in respect of Naruto's master. They finished eating after some time and Neji excuses himself. Naruto and Hinata stand to leave as well, but Haruka stops them. Please there's something we still need to deal with. Naruto and Hinata both sat down and looked at the 2 adults in the room. Hinata, you go first, please tell us what happened yesterday. Hinata nodded and started speaking. Well, I was sleeping when someone came into my room and threw me into a bag. I tried to escape, but the man was too strong. Hinata was crying at this point. Haruka stood up and hugged her daughter to try and comfort her. When I woke up, I saw Naruto over me trying to wake me and told me not to worry. By the way, Hinata, why did you faint when I saved you? Hinata started blushing, but it didn't go unnoticed by Haruka. I guess I was still tired. Hinata said. Naruto nodded his head, that was understandable in his mind. Okay, now you Naruto. Haruka ordered. He nodded his head and cleared his throat. I was out walking to a clearing after my training not long from here that has a river that Miyu likes to visit. When we got there, Miyu accidentally got in and was being pulled by the current. I ran after her and jumped in to save her. When I was sure I got her, I held onto a rock, got on top of it and jumped out. I heard someone coming and so I hid in the bushes. I saw 2 guys come out and one of them had Hinata in a bag. So I made a plan and tricked them with a. When they left, I quickly grabbed Hinata to make sure she was okay. Of course I didn't really know who was in the bag, so I had to check it out anyways. After she fainted, I picked her up and started walking to Konoha. I suddenly sensed 2 people coming so I hid Hinata behind a tree and waited for the men to show up. I knew it was pointless to run, since they would catch up to me, and hiding would have been pointless, since they still would have found me, so I chose to fight. When I found them, I hit one in the chin, and Miyu cut the other guy. I fought and knocked out one of them, but the other thought I killed him, so he tried to avenge his fallen comrade. I guess I really am an immortal since I was able to defeat a ninja when I was not one yet, Naruto said, as he rubbed the back of his head. After that, I picked up Hinata and tried to head home, but I was too tired. When I saw the other guy stand, that's when you showed up. Naruto finished. This boy is incredible. Hiashi thought amazed while his face remained passive. Haruka and Hinata were both speechless. Naruto ran into school the next day, hoping he didn't miss anything exciting in the days he was absent. He ran into the room to see Haruka sitting in his desk. So Naruto, want to explain why you haven't been to school? He was about to answer when a voice spoke up first. He was with me, Haruka-san. Hiashi said, as he entered the room. Hinata followed in tow. Really? What happened? Haruka asked, as Hinata and Naruto went to their seats. Another time, right now, you have a class to teach. Hiashi bowed and left the room. Haruka took a while to compose himself before turning his attention to his class. Okay class, today we will practice on our shuriken kunai throws. He got different reactions from the class. Half of them groaned, a quarter of them cheered, and the rest didn't really care. When they got outside, they lined up in alphabetical order by last name. Many did okay, just as Haruka had imagined. He didn't expect anyone to hit the bullseye, except maybe Sasuke and maybe Hinata. Choji had a less than average aim, but he didn't care, he just kept eating the chips he brought. Shino had an above average aim, as he hit one bullseye. Sakura did an average job, much to her disappointment. Hinata threw her kunai, and 2 of them hit the bullseye, the other 3 were still impressive, even if they didn't hit the bullseye. Naruto congratulated her, as she joined the rest of the class, which caused her to blush and play with her fingers. Kiba, well, he was around Choji's league. Shikamaru didn't even throw his, he just let them fall to the ground and called the whole exercise troublesome. When Sasuke went up, almost all the girls cheered for him. They kept chanting his name much to his displeasure. He threw his 5 shuriken and they each hit the bullseye. This caused all his fangirls to squeal and congratulate him. He didn't really care about his fangirls, but he didn't want to be mean either, so he thanked them as he went back to the line. Now it was Naruto's turn. Hinata silently wished him good luck as he walked up the target. He started to examine it before he walked back and went to throw his first kunai. When it hit the bullseye, a large crack formed and ran horizontal through the target. It didn't completely split in half, but it looked like it would fall apart at any moment. Oops, sorry Haruka-sensei, looks like I overdid it, he said and then laughed sheepishly. It's okay Naruto, just try to hold back when you throw it, Haruka said dumbly. Naruto nodded and threw his other 4 without cracking the target. He went back in line as everyone still looked at the crack he made. Ino went up, but like Sakura, she has an average job as well. When they all finished, they all walked back to the classroom. Sasuke went up to Haruka and asked him if he could have a sparring match with Naruto. Well, I was going to have you write notes about how it works, but I guess we can do that tomorrow. Naruto. Haruka called over Naruto. Sasuke wants to have a sparring match with you, do you accept? Haruka asked since he couldn't really force a match unless it was for an exam. Sure. Naruto replied casually. Everyone stood in the stands over the gym as they saw Naruto and Sasuke face each other. Haruka was down there to referee the match and to make sure nothing bad happened. Okay, here are the rules. This is going to be Taijutsu only, so no ninjutsu or if you know any. Also, the match was over when I saw it's over, got that? Naruto and Sasuke nodded, so Haruka stood back to give them room. Okay, begin. Neither of them moved, both waiting for the other to start the match. Naruto fingered his sword. He decided to bring at least one sword, he wanted to be ready for anything. He didn't want a repeat of what happened a couple of days ago. So why did you challenge me to a match? Naruto asked. After what I saw back there, I wanted to see who was better, me or you. Sasuke answered. Naruto smirked at his answer and was starting to get impatient. So, Naruto rushed Sasuke and pulled out his sword. This surprised everyone in the room, they didn't think he had a real sword, they all thought it was a kendo stick or something like that. Naruto swung his sword and then struck the ground. He used his momentum to jump over the sword and kick Sasuke in the chest. Lucky for him, Sasuke brought his arms up and blocked the kick. Seeing as he didn't get the hit, Naruto pushed Sasuke back with his feet as he did a backflip and landed. The whistle was blown and Haruka stood in between Naruto and Sasuke. Naruto, why do you have a real sword? Haruka asked madly. Because I'm a swordsman. I have been for over a year now. Why is there a problem? Naruto asked. Haruka took Naruto's sword. Yes, it's dangerous to wield one. If you insist on using a sword, at least use a kendo sword. Hyuga said as he held out a kendo sword for Naruto to use. Naruto crossed his arms and looked away. Sorry, but I can't use those. Only weaklings and cowards use kendo swords. A real warrior wouldn't worry about safety, so I don't. Naruto offered as a reply. Some of the girls in the stand started swooning over Naruto. They claimed he was cool and dangerous like a typical bad boy. Sasuke's remaining fangirls just shrugged him off, they stayed loyal to Sasuke. That was the day that Naruto's fangirls started forming. Hinata didn't really like the fact that she might have some competition for Naruto's affection. In the days Naruto had been unconscious, she would visit his room daily and wait for him to wake up. While waiting, she had a lot of time to realize why he had been in her mind recently. She had a crush on the masked boy. Of course she didn't tell anyone, but her mom knew though. How she knew, Hinata wouldn't really know, but she was glad her mother didn't tell her father. He probably would have freaked. Who told you they were for weaklings and cowards? My master. I asked him once if it was a good idea to let me use real swords instead of kendo swords, but he told me weaklings and cowards think about safety. Naruto answered nonchalantly. Well, maybe I should have a talk with your master. Go ahead, he's dead, but if you do find a way to talk to him, tell him I said hi and ask him when he's going to pay me back the money he owes me. Naruto said. Hyuga blanched and took some steps back. Continue. He yelled and Sasuke charged Naruto this time. He sent a punch for Naruto's head, but he ducked and sent a punch for Sasuke's gut. Sasuke flipped back to avoid his punch. Naruto then ran at him, jumped and kicked him in the chest. Sasuke rolled back and recovered. Sasuke then jumped up and launched an axe kick for Naruto's head. Naruto blocked the kick with both hands and grabbed onto his legs. He spun around quickly and let him go, sending him to the wall. Sasuke turned in midair and recovered before he hit the wall. Then he pushed himself off the walls and sped for Naruto. He jumped and did a roundhouse kick which Naruto blocked and grabbed again, but this time Sasuke expected it. Sasuke did a handstand and sent another kick to Naruto's head. Naruto used his free hand to block this kick as well. Sasuke smirked and pushed himself off the ground with his hands. He formed a fist with his left hand and sent it for Naruto's head. It hit its mark and sent Naruto rolling back after he let Sasuke go. Naruto stood up after his fall and cursed himself for getting sloppy. He then smirked and charged Sasuke again. The fight continued and finished as a draw between them. Naruto and Sasuke shook hands and the whole class cheered for them. Hyuga smiled at their sportsmanship and Mizuki walked away, a frown on his face. Good job you two. Hyuga congratulated as he walked over to them. Naruto smiled proudly as Sasuke crossed his arms and smiled a small smile. Naruto, Hinata thought before all the fangirls started cheering louder. That was awesome, Sasuke. Naruto woke up to his alarm. The evil machine rang and rang until Naruto decided to do something about it. Outside, everything was peaceful, the birds were singing and early joggers were jogging. Then one of the joggers heard a window break and an alarm clock headed for the ground. It broke as soon as it made contact with the ground and Naruto smiled as he saw the many pieces of his alarm clock all over his road outside. He yawned as he walked over to the bathroom to relieve himself. He came out and looked at his calendar, causing him to smile widely. Naruto had been waiting for this day since he was 6, he was finally going to take the graduation exam so he could become a genin. 6 years has passed since Naruto was challenged by Sasuke and it had become a regular thing between the two, though Sasuke changed when he turned 9. When they were spared, his moves were more aggressive and stronger. Naruto thought it was a phase he was going through, but then he heard of the Uchiha massacre. His older brother, Itachi Uchiha, murdered his entire family except for Sasuke, which no one seemed to understand why. When Naruto learned of it, he understood why Sasuke became distant. He was cold and quiet, and whenever someone tried to talk to him, he would just tell them off or not respond at all. Naruto was the only one he didn't snap at, but then again he barely said a word to him. When they did talk, it was just to ask if he'd spar with him. Other than that, Sasuke refused to be social. Naruto shook his head, he didn't hold back the way he reacted to his family's murder against Sasuke, but there were other ways to deal with this sort of thing. Hinata was a mystery to Naruto, she would always stutter and blush when she spoke to him. Sometimes, she would faint if he ever made contact with her. She was a weird girl in Naruto's mind, but he still liked her. He saw Hinata as a best friend since she was genuinely nice to him, not like all the fakes in his class. In fact, she was the only girl he could have a decent conversation with. His fangirls would just stare and nod when he talked to them, not really understanding what he was talking about. During the last 5 years, Naruto has learned how to read people by their body language and eyes. His fangirls didn't really care what Naruto was talking about, just that he was talking to them. And they would always flirt with him, which he didn't understand either. He wore a mask that covered his face, and yet they still flirted. He just didn't understand girls. Back to Hinata though, Naruto honestly wanted to find out why she always blushed, stuttered, and fainted around him. An idea of why she did that would constantly appear in his mind, but he always put them down, as he highly doubted that it was the real reason why. He usually laughed at the idea of her liking him as anything more than a friend. It wasn't that he didn't like her, she was one of the prettiest girls in his class, in his mind, but she was way out of his league. As a matter of fact, Naruto always noticed the little things about her, like the fact that her eyes were not white, as some of his class thought, but in fact were very light silver with a hint of lavender. Also, whenever she got nervous, her left foot would involuntarily fidget just a little, almost too slow to notice. However, Naruto noticed. He noticed that she only bit the nails in her thumbs, the rest were normally cut. One thing he noticed that bothered him was the fact that she would sometimes hide her sadness through her smiles, but in her eyes it was always there. Naruto had repeatedly asked Hinata what was bothering her, but she would never say or just say it was nothing. Naruto made a vow to find out exactly why she was secretly sad. He noticed every small thing about Hinata, every move, every sound, it was as if he was in love with her. Naruto always blushed when he thought about it. Yup, it was true, no matter how many times he denied it, he had a crush on the shy girl, and possibly something more. He figured it out 4 years after he saved her from the Cloud Nin's second attempt to gain the Byakugan. It happened one day in school when some girls older than her started making fun of her eyes. Naruto saw Hinata crying on the floor while the older girls continued to laugh and mock her. Naruto didn't like that, so he had a stop to it. He told them to stop messing with Hinata and to mess with someone their own size. They just laughed at him but left anyway, seeing as their fun was over. Naruto went over to Hinata and made sure she was okay. When she looked up, it was that day he noticed what color her eyes really were and how much emotion they held. He felt bad when he saw her crying, like, as if they kicked him in the stomach and ripped his heart out. The next day, he walked into school seeing Hinata talking to Kiba. Normally this wouldn't bother him, but he saw that Kiba had his arm over Hinata while she looked uncomfortable. This made Naruto's blood boil, and he wanted to beat Kiba to an inch of his life. When he saw Hinata walk away from Kiba and closer to him, however, he felt a whole lot better. The day after that, he was telling a joke to Hinata and actually made her laugh, not a short shy laugh, but an actual laugh. Her angelic laughter sent chills down his spine and made his day seem brighter. After school, he went to see Iruka-sensei so that his teacher could explain why he felt that way. After he told Iruka-sensei everything, Iruka-sensei just laughed and asked Naruto what he thought it meant. When Naruto told him he didn't know, Iruka-sensei told him that she was special and that he liked her. Naruto denied it and walked away saying that Iruka-sensei was losing it. Naruto never thought the same way after that, though he continually had to deal with his feelings. He never mentioned it to anyone else, especially not to Hinata. He thought, as soon as he told her, their friendship would be over, and he didn't want that. Oh, how wrong he was. Naruto walked into his closet and found a clean shirt to wear. He put on his blue short-sleeved shirt, black sleeveless sweater, black pants, and black shoes. He also put on his blue fingerless gloves and black headband. He started wearing it again so he could remember his dead master Amir. He still took at least one sword, much to the displeasure of Iruka-sensei. Naruto walked out of his house and ran to school, too excited to simply walk there. Hinata woke up right before her alarm went off. She got out of bed and stretched the sleep away. She looked at the time, then at the calendar, causing to smile. She went straight for her bathroom to get ready for the day. She was happy that today was the day that she would be able to make her father proud. Today was the day of the graduation exam. Hinata had been waiting for this day since her mother died shortly after giving birth to Hanabi. Due to birth complications that are unknown to her, all Hinata knew was that her mother died hours after Hanabi was born. After that, her father grew cold and stern. It was like when her mother died, so did her father's happiness. Hinata walked out of the bathroom and into her room in a towel. She walked up to her closet and started getting dressed. After she put on her lavender shirt, navy pants, and shoes, she put on the bulky sweater she usually wore. She started wearing after she noticed that she was developing a lot faster than most of the girls in her class. She thought she looked odd and would drive Naruto away if he saw her, so she wore it so neither him nor anyone else would see. After she got dressed, she silently walked out of her home and walked to school. On her way there, she started wondering if she would be able to pass the exam. What if she didn't? Her father would be angry and disappointed in her, while Naruto would probably laugh and would want to stop being her friend. Hinata immediately stopped walking at that thought. Naruto wouldn't do that, would he? Speaking of which, Naruto made a sharp turn and crashed right into Hinata. They both fell down hard, though Hinata had a softer landing. As Naruto was falling back, his reflexes kicked and grabbed the person he ran into, which was Hinata. Unfortunately, he lost his footing and fell back, dragging poor Hinata with him. Naruto opened his eyes and they suddenly widened because of the position they were in. Hinata was on top of him and her lips mere centimeters from his. Naruto blushed under his mask, he once dreamt of something like this, though under other circumstances. Hinata, well, she looked into Naruto's blue eyes and was hypnotized. The same could be said for Naruto, as he couldn't stop staring into her beautiful silver orbs. They're much prettier up close. Naruto thought. When Naruto blinked, the thought of being so close to Naruto finally hit Hinata and she blushed and finally fainted. Naruto sighed when he saw her faint. He got up, picked up Hinata bridal style, and walked to school. I wonder how long she'll continue to do this. Naruto said to himself as he walked to school with Hinata in his arms. When he arrived, Hyuga gave him a look that asked what happened. Naruto only shook his head and gave him a look that answered what does it look like. Hyuga nodded and Naruto walked up to the desk that he and Hinata sat at. He put her on her seat and started shaking her awake. After a couple of shakes, she started moaning and said something that shocked Naruto. Naruto-kun, Hinata said with a smile on her face. Naruto stopped shaking her and tried to think about what that meant. Is she dreaming about me? No, she just knew I was shaking her and just wanted me to stop, so why did she smile? Naruto decided to think about it another time, for now he just had to wake Hinata up. He shook her again, causing her to wake up. Oh, hello Naruto-kun. Hinata said with a small smile. Naruto smiled back, happy to know that she was back to normal. Hi there Hinata-chan. Naruto yelled, just as hyper as usual. Hinata's smile widened. Naruto then thought back to her saying his name and decided to bring it up. Hey Hinata-chan, would. Though he didn't get a chance to finish as his fangirls ambushed him from behind and hugged him. They were all squealing and trying to get him to pay attention to them. When Naruto looked back at Hinata, he saw the sadness in her eyes again. He still didn't understand why she held so much sadness in her eyes. She was pretty, nice, and had the best personality someone could have, so why was she sad? Thanks for watching my video, see you next time, till then sayonara.